Hello, everybody. Theo here, and today we're here with our second official Season 4 video from the VBA channel. By now, you guys have probably seen Bubble and Leaf do their spice ranking for the Kanto division, which is our division. I'm joined here by Ryan PB Herbert, coach of the Springfield Spoinks, and he's definitely a veteran of the VBA now.
You know, it's weird to say that. It doesn't feel like it. But how are we doing, everybody? Welcome on in. Also, I gotta say it. It's Hebert. There's no R.
Ooh.
No
Okay.
R, I'm sorry.
Okay. Corrected. I stand corrected. Hebert.
But you know what? I want it in the video because I feel like a lot of people might not
That's
know.
fair.
Oh, there we go.
That's fair.
You know?
So we're gonna do the spice rankings, or we're gonna try our best to do the spice rankings of the other division, which is the Johto division, and well, second tier, right? Yeah, second tier is a Kanto,
Yeah.
and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in draft order.
Okay.
So we're going to start with the first round pick, whoever got the first round pick. And that team, that pick belonged to the Greedy Greninjas, coached by Sasori.
Sasori. You know, I'm going to miss him this division in this season. But you know what? Fantastic player alone. And so they were the first pick. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
Oh, wow. What a wise player. Picking up Dragapult, I assume?
I believe you're correct. The first pick went to Dragapult.
It took 3 picks to go to Dragapult. Talking about myself, but looking at this team right away. I mean, Theo, do you want to start it off? How do you want to do this?
Sure, I'll start it off. Well, first off,
please.
Dragapult, right? Best Pokemon in the format, in my opinion. So right there, it's spicy, but it's also not spicy. Dragapult as a Pokemon is spicy. It gets a ton of tricks, and obviously it's super fast. It's the fastest thing in the format, and the fact that it has access, both its stabs have really good stat change, from lowering the defense of the opponents with max Ghost, or max, what is it called, Phantasm, and then also being able to lower and mitigate the opponent's physical damage output with max Dragon. And Dragapult is it's fast, it hits hard, and it can also be run as support. So that's the spiciness of Dragapult. But taking a look at the rest of his team here, so he has a lot of good pieces. He has priority Tailwind in Galewing's Fletchinder at a pretty low tier, access to Prankster, and Unburdened with Liepard, which is a fantastic support Pokemon. He also has, this is a really fast team now that I'm looking at it, with Liepard and also Bolton. Bolton is one of the fastest Pokemon in this format as well. And for those that are just new to the VBA this season, the format is actually Dynamax, but no legendaries are allowed. So that really limits the power level of the overall field, and also limits the speed, how fast Pokemon are actually, how they can get in the format. So Dragapult is the fastest here. And Bolton is, because of this format, is also one of the fastest. So I really like the Bolton pick. Great support Pokemon in my opinion. Access to Charm, access to Eerie Impulse, access to Snarl, I believe, as well. Yeah. What sticks out to you for this team? What do you like? What don't you like?
Well, you know, big sleeper pick, I think, this division, and this is kind of like tooting my own horn too, is it's got to be Gardevoir. Last season, Cortex VGC, who was one of the coaches for the, I want to say the Twin Leaf Tyranitar or something like that, he used Gardevoir in such a way that it really proved itself. Now, we are in a max format, so that does change things up considerably, but beyond Gardevoir just being an offensive powerhouse, having that access to TR next to Prankster from Liepard, you can do some really fun shenanigans by maxing Gardevoir, getting off a free Tailwind with Liepard's. Trying to think of the move. I want to say it's. You know what I'm talking about? It's max. Basically, you max Protect off of Trick Room, and then you use. Yes, Copycat. Thank you. So I cannot believe I
Prankster
forgot
Copycat
that.
is a threat for sure.
Yeah, Prankster Copycat is a really nice like little tech, although there isn't too much to really take advantage of that. Like, yeah, yes, you've got Serena, but I'm gonna be honest, base 72 speed is still pretty fast. Now, here's one thing that I will die on a hill to say. I love Sudowoodo. It is such a great Pokemon. And being one of the slower Pokemon on this team next to Lickitung, it's definitely a powerhouse when paired with Weakness Policy and Amon Procket. Now, I also see that wonderful beat-up potential between Dragapult and Lucario, with Lucario's justified ability. On top of that, Serena's got Queenly Majesty, which blocks all form of Fake Out. And in a max format, anytime you're running max Mons, Fake Out just isn't as good as it is in previous formats where we don't have max Mons, because as we know, when you Dynamax a Pokemon, Fake Out just does not work on that max Pokemon. So it's something to kind of like think about for this format, but I don't know how good it is compared to, let's say, if you had Serena last format where we had no Dynamax, but all of these Pokemon were available as well.
Yeah, I think Serena's Queenly Majesty is still really powerful in a max format versus a non-max format, just because there's still a lot of Prankster around, and although Fake Out is not as good because of Dynamax, I mean, it's still readily there, still consistent. Yeah. So I think it's going to come in handy big time. And it forces the opponent to have it in the back of their head the whole entire time during prep as well, which is great on Sasori's part. The mental game, he's playing the mental game against the opponent already, just from out the gate. But yeah, I really like this team. I think its fast mode is very, very good. The slow mode is a little slacking, even with the superior OP Sudowoodo on the field.
Well, I didn't mention Nidoking as well. Like 85 base is not terrible to set up TR, but if your opponent has better Pokemon suited for Trick Room with a lower base speed, I think you're gonna get beat out.
Yeah,
really. Yeah. Good.
But I love the team. I think it's really scary. Ton of tools. Spice level, I really like the Boltund and I like the Cramorant, and I'm very excited to see what Sasori's really creative and a very good battler, so I'm really curious and excited to see what he does with the Boltund and Cramorant. I don't know, I'd probably give this one a solid jalapeno. Like, it definitely has a kick to it, but it's not overwhelming.
Okay, I see. So I need a scale of peppers here, huh?
Google.
Yeah, let me pull this up. Give me a sec. Yeah. Okay, so you gave it a jalapeno. That is pretty low on the Scoville scale. If
it's just a kick, right? Just a kick.
Pretty much. I mean, I'm excited to see if we deal out a bell pepper tonight, because on this scale it's a 0. So we'll see. I want to go out on the limb and say, I could go up to a Serrano or a Tabasco. You know what I mean? That's a big jump. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go Serrano, 6,000 to 23,000 Scovilles. Okay. I'm gonna go a little higher than jalapeno. One thing that I also didn't mention as well is Lickiting's Cloud9. Weather is such an underestimated form of offense and defense in draft, and not every team has it. But when they do, especially when it's rain, when it's sun, even when it's sand or hail, Cloud9 is just one of those abilities that any weather team has to be aware of when they're going up against Lickitung, for example. Now, is it the most powerful Pokemon on this team? No, but the ability alone can change the way a game works entirely, right? Dragapult could be fastest Mon on the field until all of a sudden a Gold Duck in rain comes sweeping in with a max ice onto Dragapult. All of a sudden, that's a very different game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna give this I'm going Serrano.
Serrano. I think that's fair. I do like the Lickitung a lot. I agree. And as far as Cloud9 users go, Lickitung is probably the bulkiest or second bulkiest, with the addition of Eviolite. And when you have a Cloud9 user on the field, you want it on the field for ideally more than a turn. It's fairly bulky, and it's gonna give you that Cloud9 for more than a turn, which is great. Yeah. But would I upgrade it to Serrano? I don't know, Ryan. I don't know. Right now, we're gonna start safe with a jalapeno. It's only the first team.
Okay.
So yeah,
I respect it.
let's go to our next team, who is the second round pick. So and that,
love it.
We have the Scandinavian Slowpokes. This is coached by Horse, which is one of our newer coaches this season. So welcome, Horse, to the VBA. And so they had second overall pick, and I believe it was in DD female, followed by Teleon Gmax at some point, which I love because I thought that was really, really good value in tier 2. It just hits so hard. Togedemaru, Swampert, Magnezone, a very, very cool Stonejourner, Carbink, Amoonguss, Heracross, Shedinja, and Dwosian. What do you think of this team?
So spicy with the Dwosian. Cortex and I had talked at great lengths when going over the draft about, the top tier mons in that tier 5 slot, and Dwosian boasting a special attack of I want to say it's 125 special. Yeah, right there. 125 special attack. I mean, it is insane. And then give that an Eviolite, and yeah, you're not going to be as bulky as Reuniclus, but you're going to be close, right? You're going to be close. On top of that, you are one of the slower mons in the game, eyeing that of Amoonguss. And so in a TR setting, oh my goodness, on top of the fact that you also get Overcoat, you get Regenerator, you also get Magic Guard, for a format that likes to have Sleep Powder or Spore, even though you have one of the best Spore users on your own team, it's crazy. Shed, I love. I don't know how much I love it for a draft format where so many of those legendary Pokemon that make Shedinja so good aren't being used. Now, it's still a valid Pokemon, and for anyone playing this team, you need to be aware of the fact that Shedinja does exist, and so have moves readily available for Shedinja, or else you will suffer the fate of getting stalled out in the end game, because that's all it takes. Although, looking at the rest of this team, there's a lot of redirection. I like the look of it. I'm a little curious about what the power output of this team is going to be like. Is the purpose just to redirect everything and then try and see if the Inteleon, Magnezone, Swampert, and maybe even Heracross too are like your big damage dealers, with Power Spot Stonejourner trying to really make up for the lack of super big offense, because you've got a few mons that can definitely do some big damage. And honestly, this is pretty spicy. I don't see anything here that's a Dragapult per se, but at the end of the day, I don't think you should underestimate the mons that are right in front of us.
Yeah, I agree. I really like when you mentioned that you weren't sure about the damage output, but there's a Stonejourner, right? Like you mentioned, Stonejourner on this team kind of really offensively pulls it together. And having access to Stab, Max Rockfall, base 70 speed isn't the worst for Stonejourner. So overall in the format, 70 isn't the worst, and it's a decent Scarf user. But having access to Stab, Rockfall is really good in this format. And access to Redirection is great. And I agree completely what you said about Shedinja. We've seen it done well in VGC, but in Draft League, where people know Shedinja is an option out of 11 Pokemon, they're gonna prep for it. And the thing is, it's not hard to prep for. Just set up, sand, hail. There's a lot that can easily take down the Shedinja. I like this team a lot.
In my opinion, I mean, if you're dumb enough to go Focus Sash, Sand or Hail works. But also there are people who are like, oh, Goggles isn't the way to go in Shedinja either, but you could go back and forth all day on what is the perfect shed item.
But it doesn't matter because it's easy to prep for. But yeah, I like this team a lot. How spicy is it? I think it's spicier than a jalapeno. I will give you that. I will give you that, Horse. And would I say it's a Serrano? Yes, I would say it was a Serrano. I'd say it might be a little hotter than a Serrano. I'm gonna say what's between.
I've got a list right here if you want.
Yeah, what's right above Serrano?
Tabasco.
That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound like a right scale. Is that
Serrano, Tabasco, Cayenne, Thai, Scotch bonnet, habanero?
All right. Thai chili. That's what this is, a Thai chili. I'll say that.
Thai chili. If you had to talk about one aspect of this team being a Thai chili, What is it to you?
To me, it has to be the Stonjourner. I know it's good. I just haven't seen it really used where I'm wowed by it. I'm always waiting for it, and I think it's a really cool Pokemon that it has access to Ally Switch, Wide Guard. Yeah, I think that's probably the spiciest one for me. Everything else, besides maybe the Shedinja, I've seen used pretty often in draft already. But he doesn't have a lot of what I would consider like OP Mon or like super value Mon in their tiers besides the Inteleon, and I like that. I like that there's nothing that seems super overpowered on this team.
Well, I would argue that 2 tier 1 picks of redirection are pretty high up there. Now, that doesn't mean they have huge damage output theoretically, but the ability to have an Amoonguss to swap in and out and Indeedee. The only thing is that there's no fire type, so there's no finished Fire, Water, Grass core. There's actually no Dragon type either, so there's no finished Fantasy core either. And so for a draft league like this, sometimes a lot of people like to build around those types of cores. Yep. Something that we didn't mention, and I just want to bring it up, is Carbink. Carbink is such a cool Pokemon, and it's got such great defensive stats, super low speed. I believe I want to say
could be lower.
It does have Trick Room. It could be lower, but it does have TR2.
Yes.
Being a fairy rock type, 4 times weak to steel, that sucks. But at the end of the day, it does have sturdy. It's got some great support to it too. So I don't want to count that out either. I forgot. I did not want to forget this Pokemon in our mentionings here. And I know Togedemaru is there, but it's Togedemaru.
Yeah, we've seen it before.
That's how it's
common. Yeah. I would like to see the Carbink do work. I haven't necessarily been impressed by a Carbink yet, I don't think. So yeah, that would be another one I'd like to see really excel.
Do you know if Duosion gets expanding force?
It does. I've used it. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Oh. See, that's spicy. And just for that, I'm going up to Tabasco.
Okay.
I'm going to Tabasco.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty high. Now that
Tabasco
changes the game.
I can't believe Tabasco is that high on the scale. I'm surprised. I don't.
30 to 50 Scovilles. I didn't realize, but I mean, it's up there. Yeah. I feel like Tabasco is what a lot of people consider like
mild,
regular
sauce.
I
mean, it's on the table at Chipotle. It's so readily available, and it seems like a lot of people can handle it.
Well, I guess not. Apparently.
All right.
My Scoville.
Let's head over to the next team, Ryan. You ready? All right. So our 3rd round pick was the Sussex Sableyes. Coached by Ruby T Pokemon, our good friend Ruby T, aka Sam.
Ruby T.
I don't remember if he's Sam 1 or 2. I don't remember. But this is his team. He has Whimsicott, Meowstic, Vikavolt, Vaporeon, Manectric, Golurk, Rapidash, Bronzong, Toxicroak, Altaria, Avalugg. Ryan, I'm going to tell you right now, Ruby T, his front office and him, they planned this themed team.
Okay.
Do you know what the theme is of this team?
I'm looking at this right now and can't say I know the theme at all.
So their theme was to draft Pokemon that had a blue theme color to it, or like it was mostly blue, including shinies, and I think that's where it throws you off.
Got you. Okay, yeah, the Rapidash and the Whim got me, but shiny, yeah, I could see that. I didn't want to say what was in my head. I didn't think it was too appropriate. Seeing that there's a Vaporeon right there, did you know? Okay, I'll stop talking there. We'll talk about the rest of the team.
Okay. Right. So this team is really cool. I gotta say. Yeah. I think this is a spicy team. He has Golurk. I think Rapidash is really a really neat Pokemon. Another Pokemon you don't see run too often, and you want to see it excel and to surprise you. I love Avalugg. I feel like Avalugg has been getting drafted more frequently than I was used to earlier when I first started doing draft. And Also, one of those Pokemon I'm not necessarily impressed with, but I would love to see do well. We have a lot of blue. So that theme itself already kind of bumps it up on the spice meter for me. What do you think of this team?
It's very creative to go with a team based off of color of Pokemon, especially including shinies. Now, I do like the Rapidash pickup here, super low tier. And on top of that, in draft, it's already hard enough to get a really good fire type. This is something that myself and Cortex constantly talk about. What are some of those Pokemon or types of Pokemon that are just incredibly hard to come by in every tier? And fire types are just one of those mons. And so being able to pick up a Rapidash, while it isn't the strongest fire type that you could have, it's certainly one of the spicier ones just due to the fact that it's not popularly used. It does have pretty good stats. I mean, it's got a BST of 500, 100 base attack, 105 speed. Like, that's not bad for a Pokemon. It's definitely faster, not the fastest, but paired with Tailwind from Whimsicott, it is pretty good. Flash Fire to suck up other fire type attacks. Flame Body in case your opponent's like, okay, I'm gonna try to fake this Rapidash out, or use a physical move on it. Like, you're threatening a burn right there. And it's just, you're right, it is a really spicy mon to have on the team. Let's not forget, first of all, Toxicroak, such a cool mon. Dry Skin is one of my favorite abilities, really taking advantage of going up against water type Pokemon who are like, oh yeah, gotta, totally come after you, Toxicroak. And Toxicroak's like, nah, bro, like, I suck up that water, no problem whatsoever. Bronzong as well, like having Heat Proof and Levitate, like, there are a bunch of mons here that just like say no to other Pokemon's moves, like Water Absorb from Vaporeon.
A lot of immunities.
Cloud9 just, like literally there are lots of Lightning Rod on Manectric. I mean, like, the more I look at it, the spicier this gets in just defensive potential.
Right.
So if I'm going up against this team, all I can think about is, gosh darn it, like, I've really got to prep for my matchup here in terms of, like, if I bring in a water type attack, I really got to make sure that a Vaporeon or a Toxicroak isn't there to try to take it away from me. Same goes for electric attacks and even fire type attacks theoretically. And Golurk's a ground type, so another Pokemon that's immune to electric type moves. So the list could keep going. Now, something I want to bring up too, pretty high tier, but I think super spicy, Meowstic. Meowstic, such a cool prankstermon. I think sometimes overlooked. Do we know if this is the male or
it's
female Meowstic?
Is male. It's the male. It's the prankster version.
Okay, got you. That's what I figured. I mean, 2 prankstermons of this team. A little less spicy for me to have double back-to-back prankstermons, but these prankstermons happen to be two of the funnier ones in my opinion. Whimsicott, always a fan favorite. You always wonder, is someone going to take this mon over a powerhouse like Dragapult or even like a Gmax Charizard, for example? Because you can pair Cot with a lot of these mons and really do some big damage. Endeavor's such a great move too. I mean, I could keep going, but I liked your Avalugg comment. I'm gonna bring up the Cloud9 again, and Altaria, always fantastic. Bronzong's cool too. Golurk, obviously, and then Vikavolt. Like, who can go wrong with that electric type with Manectric? I mean, you could theoretically run a really powerful discharge set next to Manectric and just kind of go off on your opponent. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, he has access to Disquake and discharge double electric as well. So that's really neat. This is a good team. I have Meowstic on my team in the other division, so it has a lot of prankster tricks, and it's fairly consistent. Whimsicott is very consistent. I think this team has a lot of spicy pieces. I would like to see Altaria do well in a max format. Another one that I haven't seen do super well, even as a Cloud9 user. It's the times 4 weakness to ice just really hurts it. For sure.
Yeah, big time. And a lot of those legendary Pokemon have some really powerful dragon and fairy type moves. So I definitely could be a good spot for
I like this team a lot.
Well.
What would I rate it on the spice level? It's a pretty spicy team. What's one above Thai chili? Ryan, give me a little Scotch. I'm gonna give this a Scotch bonnet. I'm gonna give it a Scotch bonnet. I got to do it.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. You know what? So I first started off with Serrano, and then I think I went to Cayenne. I think I'm willing to go up to a tie on this one. I don't think I can go up to Habanero or Scotch bonnet. This is pretty spicy, but
this is getting scary.
I'm gonna go up to tie here. I think this definitely.
This is getting scary. This raid, we're probably not going to survive to the end of this episode, man.
I can't.
We're only on the third team,
Reaper,
and we're already up to Scotch bonnet. Actually, this is, yeah. I don't like this. All right, so with that, let's go to our next team. Our next team are the Feisty Scraftys, and they are coached by Ducky, are new to the VBA. Ducky and I have actually chatted for a bit about draft, and they're also in GLDL as well, and I believe they're in the finals. So they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing with draft. They know what they're doing when it comes to battles. And what else I really like about Ducky's style is they're super creative. And I've seen him bring sets where you just don't he brings sets that aren't standard for Pokemon a lot of times, which is great to see. And I'm excited to see what he brings to the VBA in terms of his creativity. And this is his team. He has Redirection and Togekiss, Shadow Tag and Gothitelle, Weavile. He has Sand and Hippowdon. He's got a Salazzle, super fast Salazzle, a Gmax Flapple, Lantern, Excadrill, Stoutland, Walrein, Haunter. This is a good team. Togekiss in itself is a huge threat already. Very hard to prep for. Disregard stat changes with crits, with crit kiss sets, does so much damage, and then you can run it bulky too as a follow me or support Pokemon. Togekiss is just so versatile as a Pokemon in draft, and it's just I think it's top 3 in the format. So the fact that, well, actually they grabbed it number 4, so they got pretty lucky there. And then access to a sand mode as well is amazing here, and his sand mode is also accompanied by Stoutland as well. So he has a Powdon, Excadrill, and Stoutland. Stoutland is a great Pokemon for a sand team, but then access to Intimidate as well is huge in this format. Having a solid, bulky, fairly fast Intimidator is really nice. Only one weakness since Stoutland is a normal type. What do you think of this team? Do you like it as much as I do?
I like it in terms of power, but in spice, this is getting close to a bell pepper right now.
It's a Flapple.
The reason being is very. There's a Flapple Gmax, but that does not beat out the fact that you basically almost have a TED core, but I call it the core. Okay, you've got Togekiss, Powdon, and Excadrill. I love Hippowdon. It's a great mon to have to boot, whip up that sand. You've also got Stoutland to, kind of get things going too. I see a team with a killer sand mode. You've got on top of that, you've got ways to trap in your opponents with Shadow Tag. You've got many forms of, at least 3 different forms of fake out here, which is crazy to see too. Gmax Flapple with Hustle, right? Super powerful, especially as a Maxmon. You're really taking advantage of that Hustle even more. But I just, I feel like so much of the team to me is just sand and like high offense fake out. Like, I don't know how much you're going to be using a Gmax Flapple compared to the fact that you can max Togekiss and get Super Lock and just be crit, and critting. Like, I just honestly think that is so, it covers the Flapple in its own shade. I see Togekiss flying high above Flapple, and it's just like resting peacefully on the ground as it does under an apple tree in the shade of Togekiss's limelight.
Yeah, really. I mean, the team is top heavy. It's
a powerful team.
Mm-hmm.
It's top heavy, and it's good. We're not saying it's bad. It's good. This is a great team. I look at this, I go, I would be scared to face this because they know what they're doing, like you said.
Okay.
But in terms of spice, so, I don't think a Flapple
what's
can
your
carry
spice
the whole
level
way
here for this team?
Okay, I can't go bell. That's mean. Okay, it's not deserving of a bell pepper because you've got a Powdon, you've got Flapple, you even have a Walrein. Okay, but
oh wow,
I'm going with a Poblano. You're not pepperoncini, but I'm going Poblano. Like this is, if a VGC player saw this team, they go, "Oh, I love that." And so that's what I'm thinking.
That's true.
That's what
true.
I'm trying to think against in terms of spice, right? Like that's what I'm going for. Like as a VGC player, I go, "Wow, it's such a powerful team," and then I go, "That must mean it's not as spicy as I think it is." And
I love your argument.
Yeah, Poblano.
And I was gonna rank this a little higher because of the Flapple. I was really blinded by the Flapple, and I love to see Flapple do well, man. I love to see it do well.
I was.
Oh, and Lantern too.
Okay.
Lantern isn't drafted very often, or I don't feel like it gets drafted very often because its stats are really terrible. But I'm excited to see what he can do with it. Defensively, I guess it can be good with double immunity to two different. Being immune to either water or electric is nice. How high can Flapple and Lantern carry this team in terms of spice? No, Walrein and Haunter. They're proven. They're all proven. They're good. They're good. Walrein is a good Pokemon in draft.
Did you know that there's a way to max out your Walrein's attack stat with Belly Drum to 420?
Really? Okay.
I found that out accidentally.
Well, let's ask him how afterwards, guys. Ask him how in the comments. So let's give this. I'm going to give it a jalapeno. It's got a kick. Okay. Yeah. And with that, let's go on to our next team. The next team are the Raleigh Rapidash, coached by Alligator, returning coach from last season, except now we're going to see how he plays in Dynamax, which is going to be great. This is a rain team. This is a very, very good rain team. And it's...
Oh, man, don't say that.
It's good.
You got a Ludicolo and a Lapras.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now,
oh my gosh.
They also have Cradilly, which is interesting, with Storm Drain that could play a role. I could also see potentially a misplay with Storm Drain as well on a heavy rain team like this if they max Geyser and accidentally have the Cradilly on the field. Yeah, I can see that happening too.
That would be unfortunate.
But we got a Skuntank.
Yeah.
We got a Combuskin. And we have a Galarian Rapidash.
Me too.
So
that shocked me.
I think it's pretty spicy. I think it's pretty spicy. And it's a pretty looking team. Yeah. This is a good looking team, except maybe Dusknoir. This is and Skuntank. This is a good looking team, Ryan.
I refuse to see ugliness. Okay, I see the beauty in Skuntank. Okay, and Dusknoir too. That design. Bon appetit.
He reminds me of Laszlo in
there we go.
Into the Shadows, or it gives me Laszlo vibes. But yeah, what do you think of this team, Ryan?
So I like the Comfey actually. That's something that sticks out to me big time. There aren't too many mons on this team where you can proc a weakness policy from Comfey.
Lapras, man.
Theoretically, you can do it off of Noivern. You can obviously do it. Well, Lapras. I was getting there. You can obviously do it off of Lapras, which is cool. You can do it off of Noivern. Theoretically, I guess you could do it off of
neutral
Ludicolo too, right? Yeah. Or no, probably not. No, that's wrong. Yeah, sorry. You can tell that's where my my genius and type advantages comes into matchups. There we go. I like the Comfey. Gives a great TR mode. On top of that, you've got Dusknoir, and then those are your two TR users. On the slower end of this team, Cradilly actually is a really solid rock type for TR, so that's really cool to see. And then I don't know how much Combuskin can actually do on a team. Speed boost is really cool, and I don't know if maybe Combuskin gets some better support moves. rather than being used as like an all-out attacker, like Blaziken. Like base 85 is pretty good, but if you go up against somebody who has Intimidate, that's really going to be troubling. So I like the speed boost there too. Skuntank is really cool. Poison Dark type, that's a fun typing to have, especially with not too many fairy types running around. It's pretty fun, although I think there are plenty of ground type moves to definitely give you a little bit of trouble. But it's not a mon that you commonly see, so that's fun. Noivern I really love. Now this is the fastest mon on this team and one of the faster Pokemon in the format. If I remember correctly, Bolton maxed out at a max speed of 121. A base speed of 121. This is a base speed of 123. So a couple points higher. It also gets Tailwind, which is great. So you've got Trick Room, you've got Tailwind on this team, and you know what? The team looks
very pretty.
Too. Like
it's a good looking team.
All these different colors. It's really nice. Really nice.
I love that his two speed control options are also frisk users. So if he wants to lead Tailwind mode, he can still find out items right off the bat. If he wants to lead Trick Room, find out items right off the bat. And we know Pokemon in the best of 3 is an information game. So that I love about the team as well, and that it kind of bumps it up for me. I like that combo, Noivern and Dusknoir. Double frisk. No one's safe.
Double frisk. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, no one's safe. Yeah, I feel like in a draft league format, what I've learned is that knowing your opponent's items is such a big deal. A choice item has so much power to sway a game, especially a choice scarf. Dynamax definitely takes away from that just a little bit with the increased health, but it's still valid. It's still really valid, and so for that, I think I'm going for Tabasco. I think this is pretty spicy. I mean, you know what? Sorry, not even Tabasco. This is Cayenne. This is not Thai, but I'm going Cayenne. This is pretty spicy. I like this team a lot. I think it's got a lot going for it, and just on spiciness level, like, I think there's some really cool things to be done with the Pokemon that are available here.
Yeah. I would agree it's on the higher end. I would go higher than Cayenne. I think this is Scotch Bonnet level, honestly. I really like this team. I really like it a lot, and it just looks good. It looks good. I'm always excited when the Cradily potential of Cradily doing well. I think Cradily is so underrated as a Pokemon. I mean, it can be run physical, it can be run special. It's a pretty good Trick Room Pokemon as well. And now with access to Meteor Beam, it can boost itself with a really strong stab special rock type move. And special rock is it's not commonly come by or commonly available in move pools, so having access to stab special rock is fantastic. I'm gonna go with that Scotch Bonnet, and I'm confident in that decision.
Okay,
yeah, so let's go to our next team.
Sounds good.
Which are the Florida Feraligatrs, and this is coached by one of our legacy coaches came back here, Senpai. And did you have a chance to play with Senpai in one of your seasons?
Oh, yeah. You know, I feel like maybe in the second season?
Yeah, I think they were. So they took last season off, and they're coming back, and they're coming back with a vengeance. So here on this, this is the first team that we're seeing one of the tier 1 residual damage users in Venusaur Gmax. Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise with the residual damage, and Colossal too. It's just such a huge threat. It's such a huge threat. And the fact that he was able to get access to a Sun user as well in Ninetales, this Venusaur, this Sun mode, it's already complete. It's already complete here. And you can have a Venusaur just spamming sleep powders. You can have it setting up a big Gmax Vine Lash and getting residual damage. 1/6 of your opponent's your opponent's Pokemon's HP is decreased by 1/6 every turn for 4 turns, I believe, or 5 turns, 4 turns. it's just a nutty amount of damage, and it's just enough chip to help a lot of these other Pokemon pick up a KO that they wouldn't necessarily pick up, or allow them to invest less in their offensive EVs to pick up KOs too, and more to bulk. I love he picked up the huge value tier 5 Cottony in Prankster support, Prankster Cotton Spore, Prankster Fake Tears. And I also love to see that Senpai's going with one of his, it's not a mascot Pokemon, but it's a Pokemon I believe he's drafted every season that he's been with the VBA, and that's Cinccino. So I'm glad to see some consistency here. And I think Cinccino's pretty good with skill length, decent attack power, really fast for this format at base 115 speed, but access to all 5 hits hitting on Bullet Seed, Rock Blast, Tail Slap is 2 to 5, I think, and then having access to always hitting 3 triple axles is huge. That's fantastic. So, and then he also has an Unburden mode with Slurpuff and Pincurchin as well. And yeah, I think Pincurchin is really good in this format as well. Access to setting up terrain and Lightning Rod, having that flexibility between 2 really good abilities on a team where he has Pelipper as well. Lightning Rod really helps support that. And it's a Cottony, but it's still Prankster Fake Tears next to a Duraludon. That, I mean, back in season 1 of Gen 8, that was a huge thing with Whimsicott Duraludon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Big. He has that at his disposal in his toolkit. I mean, this team has a lot of tools.
You've got a Sun mode, you've got a Rain mode with Swift Swim Dreadnought, you've got a Cottony Duraludon mode, you've got a Slurpuff Pincurchin mode, and then you have Cinccino to just kind of like
dual weather
sweep
burden.
I mean, like no slot.
This is a crazy team.
Goodness.
This is a really good team.
This is set up for pretty much anything you want. Not to mention that you're taking a sub-tier Sun Setter and a sub-tier Rain Setter, but it's the fact that you also picked up Pelipper, right? It's like now you've taken out one other competitive weather mon. There are so few of them out of the running to be drafted by somebody else to use against you, and to rather use it yourself. And not to mention, this team has 3 possible Gmax options now. Gmax Duraludon and Gmax Dreadnought are nothing to really be like, oh yeah, these are definitely like top tier Gmax picks, but at the end of the day, they are still pretty good Pokemon, and whether or not you have their regular max moves or not, this is looking like a really competitive team. This, I think back to the Sableyes, right? Where you look at that team and go, Sand. Okay, that was the Sableyes, right?
No, I think it was the Scraftys, the Feisty Scrafty. Yeah.
Oh. Scrafties. Okay. Scrafties. Yeah. Like I look at that team and I look at this and I go, wow, these two could definitely go up against one another.
That's going to be a really exciting game. Going against some Burden and then against a huge weather war between the two. That'll be a fun match to watch for sure.
Oh yeah.
Now, how spicy is this team? I like the Pincurchin. I like the Cinccino. I can't say I like the Blissey. I don't like Blissey. I would give this a Tabasco. Yeah, I think we have to give him ups for selecting a Pokemon, Cinccino, that isn't selected very often, but he's drafted it every time he's been in the VBA.
That's
Tabasco?
pretty spicy. Okay. I'm going Tabasco.
Did we just agree?
Yeah. We do agree. I think that simple fact alone. If it wasn't for that, this team would be pulled down big time because of this Venusaur. You want to talk about a vegetable? Venusaur becomes that vegetable. It becomes that bell pepper. Okay. But you know what? There's just so much. I think there's so much bold spice in the fact that You're absolutely killing me with Reaper energy by bringing Cinccino in
all different formats.
In all the years that you've played VBA. Come on.
All right, let's
Come on.
Yeah, let's move on to the next team, Ryan. Next up, we have returning coach Hawk the Wanderer, coach of the Island Dragons. Now let's see here. We have one. We have two.
Boy.
We only have 2 dragons from Hawk this season. That's unlike him. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm so used to him drafting, 4 or 5 dragons on the team. But I'm glad to see that he drafted a pretty good team at first glance. I see. What's interesting here is that Hawk actually had the choice of Gmax Rillaboom, but decided to go with regular Rillaboom here, which is unexpected to me. Just with that added damage output from Gmax Rillaboom and ignoring any sort of abilities, I just think, and it still sets grass, when it's switched in and out. So I don't know why he chose regular Rillaboom, but there has to be a reason for it. But it's spicy. I hate to say Rillaboom is spicy, but the fact that he drafted regular Rillaboom is spicy.
I agree with you there. It's a little odd to not take it.
The flex,
but hey,
and we also got the flex from the Dottler, which I'm very excited to see what it can do. It's super bulky with Eviolite.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
I want to see how consistent it is as a Trick Room setter in this format and a Dynamax format. But yeah, it's just bulky, gets access to recover, body press. I'm excited to see that. I think that's really spicy. He went familiar with his. You know what? I have this wrong. This should be a Hitmontop. There you go.
Oh,
there
that's
you
even
go,
spicier.
guys.
Oh,
there you go.
Hitmonchan's cool, but oh my goodness, Hitmon. I was gonna say, I didn't
we
think
have the
Hitmonchan was
Hitmontop,
such a high tier
and
mon.
I guess it's his signature Pokemon. He's drafted it every season with us, so we can't be surprised about that. And it's a fantastic Pokemon.
Okay.
Having access to easy ways to proc weakness policy and also having access to Intimidate is quite fantastic. And then you have I think Aggron is a tier 5, is pretty good. And we have a Dracovish. It's always a match when there's a Dracovish involved. So, I mean, it just hits stuff hard and it does it well. It does it real well. What do you like about this team, Ryan?
Does it well. I'm a huge Mandibuzz stan. I think it's one of the coolest Tailwind users you can use. Super bulky, right? This is a mon that really, I don't think it's enough credit for being able to live most attacks. Even a Moonblast, you can really do some good stuff with Mandibuzz in order to live that. Overcoat is such an, underlooked ability on Mandibuzz. I feel like a lot of people forget that it gets Overcoat, because they just don't see Mandibuzz enough. And then once they sleep powder, whatever type of powder move you want to use on that, nah, bro, it doesn't happen. It's not going anywhere for you. Mandibuzz, so cool. Rotom Frost, and this is an icy pick, pretty cool. Might not be the spicy pick that we were looking for, but paired with Glaceon as well, like Glaceon in a max format, funny enough, can be pretty good. Like, it does get some pretty cool moves in order to do fairly well. Like, it's got a really high special attack, so you could do some cool stuff with that, although you don't really have a way to abuse Snowcloak or Ice Body on this team from what I'm looking at right now, unless you were to max Ice and set up Hail of your own. So, Gmax Sandaconda, though, I've seen this Pokemon with some different mons to help support it in many ways do extremely well in super early formats of Sword and Shield. Really, really cool mon. However, your only form of speed control for TR is a Dottler. While it's really bulky, this is a max format. So I'm not going to take away the fact that I think Dottler can take a hit. But in order to get up TR so that, maybe half your team with Dracovish and everything under that in speed tier are able to kind of underspeed your opponents, that's going to be a little hard. Aggron, I was going to say this at the very beginning. I look at this team, and believe it or not, this is a team that me as a kid, I would go, that's such a cool team. Like, I love all the Pokemon and the designs of every single one of them on this team specifically. So if I was a kid again, I'd be like, yo, this is the sort of team that I would have on Ruby. Obviously excluding some of the Pokemon that didn't even exist yet, but like Aggron, when I was a kid, Aggron was the coolest shit I've ever seen. I was like, this thing gets Blizzard, it gets Fire Blast, it gets
That was
Hydro
like
Pump. I was
Tyranitar for when I was a kid.
You know?
Yeah, just access to a bunch of specials, like weird attacks you shouldn't get access to, and the design is just so cool.
Oh yeah. And then you realize it has 60 special attack, and you're like, what is
it's still
on?
okay. I think they buffed it, I thought, or it should have a little higher special attack now. Yeah, now spice level, Ryan. Spice level. Where are you feeling it on there?
No, Dracovish is not spicy, man. That's as bell as a bell pepper could be. I mean, I'd take a bite into a nice little Dracovish and go, sweet, so sweet, because it just literally you just vicious ran everything off the field, right? And then to top that off with a little bit of sugar, right? Because we're not even talking about spice. You got Rillaboom's Grassy Surge, just freaking priority grass, powerful base 70 grass move that's boosted by stab, that's boosted by Grassy Surge, that's most likely boosted by a Miracle Seed or a Life Orb or even a Choice Band. I mean, it's just killer in terms of not being very spicy. But Gudra's a really cool pick to see. Great tier 2, super bulky, and it's a powerhouse, and I think it's spicy. Mandibuzz for tier 3, super spicy too. And your lower tier mons are really creative. Once again, see a Magmar, a lower tier fire type that, this player said, I want to have a fire type on my team just to have it for, whatever reason. Could be for that fire water grass core, or it could just be for the fact that, like, you want a fire type, whatever it may be, you've got it going. So for this, I actually think I'm gonna go for, Hungarian.
Okay.
Between Jalapeno and Serrano.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces that are tried and true on this team for sure. But I gotta say, the Dottler is a pick.
Sweet. Super sweet.
Like the Magmar. What's below Jalapeno?
Jalapeno? Oh, that's Poblano, bro. I don't think you want to.
Okay, I'll go Jalapeno for this one.
That's Poblano level.
Dottler got the Jalapeno kick.
Okay. Ooh, hear that?
Yeah.
All right. Saved you.
Next guy. Next team we have are the kids, the Latchkey Kidz, coached by Nuzlocke Academy or Leaf. And
it's not the Welva Weezing?
No, this is Latchkey Kidz.
Yeah, that's what it says.
No, it's the Latchkey Kidz.
The tab says with the Weezings.
Oh my.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my gosh.
My God. I'm looking over at the far right. And every time you move this tab, you only move it one. This time you move it over the entire way, bro.
It's all about the mind games.
All the way to the right, and you're on the left. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah, reset. Take a rest here.
I gotta reset here.
So this is
oh my goodness.
This is kind of Leafy type team, right? He's got the double. The guy, Leaf loves double. He thinks double is real good, especially as a tier 5. So I want to see him use it. I want to see him prove it. And he has access to Primarina. I mean, Primarina just hits so hard. It is so bulky on the special side. A ton of coverage, especially in a max format. Its type coverage is insane. And then you couple that with Fake Tears Persian at base 115 speed, which is real fast in this format. Fake Tears, Quash, Parting Shot, a base 115 Parting Shot on this team. That's huge. And then you have the Prankster Tailwind in, Gale Wings Tailwind in Talonflame. Talonflame's good. I like the Decidueye pick. We got a Cloud9 user. we have a shadow tag user, so Leaf is looking at Perish Song on this team. He didn't go as heavy on Perish Song this season, but I still see it there. I hope everyone sees it there. Yeah, I like this team. It has a lot of spicy picks. We got the Phalanx, we got the Dedenne. We have a Dedenne in the house here. That's essentially it. Phalanx and probably Dedenne. And I don't know how spicy Double is yet. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he does with the Double. What do you think of this team, Ryan?
Yeah. A lot of tried and true Pokemon on this team as well. Decidueye is an interesting pick, being that it's mid-tier speed. Mid to low tier, actually, 70 speed, my fault. But you know, the ghost grass typing could be pretty good. I know defensive ghost typing is never something to scoff at. You've got double starters here too, which means that you have the potential to set up Swamp, which is like a really underused strategy. But with water and grass pledge, you really can tear into teams, and that's a spicy combo. I really like that. That's what can wreck people, right? You think you've got it set with maybe TR from Gotharita or Tailwind from Talon. Nah, just straight up set up Swamp, and your opponents can't do anything about it unless they set up TR themselves. And so I think that's super spicy to see that combo right there. You already named how great the Lowland Persian is. Primarina is one of my go-to mons if Tapu Fini is not available. And also, sometimes I love Primarina over Tapu Fini for the simple fact that it gets access to energy balls. So opposing water types, watch out. Gastrodon thinks it's safe in front of Primarina, and then all of a sudden you whip out a max grass from this thing, and you just don't see that thing coming. Grompa, arguably one of the best Cloud9 users in the format, in my opinion. Tapsiver is also great if you going up against that Rillaboom, for example, or even Berserk if you really want to push your opponents to knock down your HP a whole ton and then hit them back with a powerful Hyper Voice stab normal type move. Come on, crazy good. Let's also not forget how cool and how great Mamoswine is. Oblivious making it so that it cannot be intimidated. So for those of you who have Intimidate, who think, oh, this is going to be so great against this team, just looking at it right away. No, it's not. Mamoswine is going to tear through your Intimidators because it just doesn't care. Scizor is really cool, really spicy. Technician's a great move for this mon. Phalanx and Dedenne. I look at these mons and I go, I don't know what they're going to do, but their typings really make this team interesting. Electric, Fairy, Pure Fighting. These are not doubled up typings. In fact, Leaf did such a great idea here on not having any typing double up, really, except for the normal typing, and even still Drumpa's more of a dragon type than it is a normal type. So at the end of the day, you've got a very unique team with very unique sets of options. Is it as sweet as the other teams we have seen? No. And in fact, I want to propose that for the future of these videos, you have a sweet ranking and a spicy ranking, right? Sweet sort of being like power, and spicy sort of being like how cool and like how niche did you go, right? Like what cool facts do we know about this team? I want to say that this is another really sweet team. But in terms of spice, I also think it has aspects of it that are really big. Like Prim is a great tier 1, but it's not a Dragapult. And so I don't think that it drags the team down in spiciness at all. In fact, I think it evens it out. Lowland Persian definitely drags it down a little bit for me. And Talonflame does too. From Decidueye on, I'm really not being dragged down by much at all. And in fact, I'm really encouraged, especially by Gotharita, to give this a pretty good rating. I'm feeling Tabasco for this team. I think that it's definitely way hotter than a Serrano. But to get up to Cayenne territory, I feel like having a Lowland Persian do what it does with Talonflame, and it's a lot of sweet compared to the spice.
Primarina, in a format without Fini, Primarina as your water fairy is really good. It's really solid. Spice wise, I love the Dedenne. The Dedenne is spicy. That it's static, really. It really has a kick to it. And Phalanx, I think Phalanx could do well in this format with Defiant, access to Defiant. with all the stat drops everywhere from Max Darkness, Max Ghost. I think Phalanx could see some work this season for Leaf versus last season in a non-max format, and I think he'll be pretty happy with it. Now, spice level, you got Dedenne, you got Gothorita.
Did you say Dedenne had static?
Okay, well, it doesn't right now. It doesn't right now, but in the anime it would. Come on, Ryan. But yeah, the Dedenne gets access to also Super Fang, which could pose a threat from the other side. Yeah, this is a pretty spicy on the lower end, very sweet on the top end, and top middle as well. I'm gonna give this a jalapeno. I think I'm gonna give it a jalapeno. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what's between?
Way lower than me. But,
is there something in between jalapeno and Tabasco? Oh.
Yeah, Serrano, Hungarian.
Let's go with the Hungarian then. Yeah. Not as low as the jalapeno.
I like that. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. So next up we have the Canadiens Zoroark, and this team.
Oh man. I think we just got hit with a Reaper. We'll see.
So right now, week one,
going
into week one, it has Luxray as a tier 3. I'm just letting you know, Luxray is being switched out next week for Arctazol. So I think Arctazol looks really good on this team. Arctazol looks real. Once he adds Arctazol onto this team just like it skyrockets in threat level with a hail mode. Then we have Incineroar. We have Oranguru. One of my favorite Trick Room setters to use. I've never gotten a chance to use it in draft, but it's just so fun to use. Whenever I've used it, it's been really fun. And access to Instruct is Instruct is such a cool concept of a move. It's so unique. And then also having access to Inner Focus, Telepathy, and Symbiosis, all 3 useful abilities. Especially, you have, with Luxray, you have a Discharger, Flygon, you have an Earthquaker. A lot of stuff you can protect yourself from with Telepathy and just launch off a free spread move. And then you have one of the best tier 1s this season in G-Max Blastoise. G-Max Blastoise is going to have so much damage output from its residual damage, and it's bulky as heck as a water type and with its natural bulk in stats. Blastoise is going to stick on the field. And then you have one of the best tier 5s in our tier list, I believe, which is Ditto. Access to Ditto to be able to copy anything on your opponent's team, including stat changes, is huge. If they see that there's a Belly Drummer potentially coming, they can have the Belly Drummer do their thing, switch in the Ditto, copy its stats, and you're faster. Ditto as a tier 5 is huge. Spice level of this team, I gotta say it's not super spicy. It's all stuff we know is good, except maybe Flygon. I don't know how I feel about Flygon, but Greedent, Bellydrum Greedent, if he gets it set up with support from Incineroar with Fake Out, even Ally Switch from Oranguru or something like that, or Speed Swap from Rabombi, Greedent could get set up and potentially be run under either Trick Room or with a Speed Swap and just start piling away against the other team. So this is a good team. I don't know how spicy it is. I want to hear your thoughts before I give my ranking, Ryan. You have really good insight when it comes to looking at these teams overall. So what do you think of this team?
Sure. Yeah, thank you, man. Well, starting off, you didn't even mention we're going to talk about Spice. We're going to talk about that Garbodor G-Max just chilling at the back there. I mean, Garbodor is really not a mon used in VGC really whatsoever, but a powerful poison type is a powerful poison type. And, You see here, looking at this thing on the list in terms of like power, you know, its base stats are nothing to really look at and go, wow, that's super impressive. But 95 base attack's not bad. Poison type users are poison type users. Simple as that. I guess you're right. You know, swapping out Luxray for Arctozolt. As someone who used Arctozolt last season, I can tell you that the number of people who underestimated the absolute power of Bulk Beak and just Ice Stab it's incredible. It really is. And because you already have Incineroar in your number 1 slot there, you really don't need the double Intimidate, because Instinct can just come in and out whenever it wants and usually get away with it. Blastoise Gmax is one of those mons, like you said. It's just one of like the top tier 1s this season. If I didn't draft what I did in our division, that was one mon I was heavily looking at. And for a very simple reason. In Series 7, when I was running it in VGC, being able to very simply max water and have those like 4 turns of residual water damage, and then max ice to have those 4 to 5 turns of hail, like that's a lot of damage over 4 to 5 turns to just be freely taking on the opponent's side of the field. Maybe your side of the field's taking a little bit of hail chip, but that compared to you know, Gmax Blastoise residual water damage is just, it's unreal. It's unreal, and it allows you to get some big KOs where you want them. Other than that, I don't see a lot of like really big power output on this team. I actually just see like a lot of like great swaps and like really good like defensive pivoting in order to get to a spot to set things up. Like Blastoise is good, but it needs fake out. It needs things in order to keep it alive, because faster and or more offensive Pokemon than Blastoise can definitely like ruin its day. But Blastoise isn't just going down to any attack once it's maxed. It's a powerful and pretty defensive water type, so it's not going anywhere. In terms of spice, though, you're right. There are a lot of proven Pokemon on this team. And when I had my first reaction to it when you opened it up in Tab, I'm like, oh man, this is so spicy. But really, I think I'm talking about sweet again. I definitely have this bias of like, I look at this team and I go, wow, this is pretty powerful. Now it maybe doesn't have the combo energy of some of the other teams that we've seen, where there were lots of like really great pairs or even great Fire Water Grass Core combos in total. But this team, especially with the addition of Arctozolt, you're going to have a snow mode, TR with Oranguru. Several of these Pokemon love to take advantage of TR, and you can even like purposely like slow down Abomasnow, right, for TR with Oranguru, and fire off some devastating Wood Hammers. And I mean, Wood Hammer on its own just does so much damage. Or you can spam Blizzard, like that's great too. And spamming Blizzard with Instruct, it's like, oh, okay, double freeze potential in the same turn. Great, awesome, love that. Lots of cool stuff here. I think Rabombi's pretty spicy. It's a fast mon, and in a draft format, like it's really good because your powerful steel type, you know, legendary Pokemon like Kartana, Stakataka, they're not around to ruin your Rabombi's day. So I'm pretty excited to see that, especially with like Sweet Veil, Shield Dust. Like, it's good. But in terms of spice, that's what this is about. In terms of spice, I look at this chart and immediately my eyes go to Hungarian. You know, it's a little spicy. But it's also pretty sweet. I think there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of defensive switching and potential here in order to come in and out. You know, there isn't a steel type to finish off that fantasy core for this team, but I don't think that matters. I think there's a lot going for this team already. And I think one thing we may disagree about is the use of Ditto. Ditto as a tier 5 is good, but Ditto overall, I don't think Ditto is as great in draft as it is in VGC, for example, because once again, the legendary Pokemon that have been taken away in order for the rules of this draft to exist really take away a lot of the powerful options that Ditto is able to swap in on. Like Ditto swapping in on, let's say Ditto swapped in on Incineroar, right? Like that's really cool. But now, depending on what the item is on Ditto, most people like to run Scarf. Maybe for a draft format, you run something like Focus Sash, or maybe you specifically like plan out, you know, the cool thing about draft, right, Theo, is that you get to plan out who you're going against. So if you specifically know, like, let's say Theo's going up against the Island Dragons and goes, okay,
Yep.
because I think they had Dracovish, right? So if you're like, my goal is to get Dracovish as the mon that I'm going to copy, that makes sense for Ditto to want to swap in and just spam Fish's Rend. Maybe you give yourself choice Ben. Maybe you have Scarf, right, to just outspeed the opposing Dracovish. Who knows?
Hungarian is solid. Hungarian is solid.
Yeah, I'm going Hungarian. I think that's
I like that you mentioned that there's a lot
here.
of switch synergy here and limited damage output, but I think it works. I think that works with a residual damage Pokemon with Blastoise. Maybe that's all you need is just switch synergy to really do well. So it's definitely a sweet team in that front. Spiciness, I'm gonna go Serrano on this one. I'm gonna go Serrano. Yeah, Serrano. There's a lot of tried and true stuff on here. A lot of tried and true stuff on here. So let's go Serrano. Definitely a slight kick to it for sure. All right, so next up, we have the Gardner Guzzlords, coached by our very own Bubble Hulk. So no legendary steel types, right?
Man.
But we have one steel type to really worry about. That's pretty good. This is a crazy team, and I told Bubble this when I saw this team. I said, "This team is nuts. This team is a cavity-inducing team, Ryan."
Hold on. Cavity inducing. This is a team that makes me want to drink a gallon of milk. I don't know about, like, it's sweet because of Metagross, but everything else I'm seeing here,
to me, not so
spicy.
Much. I love the Centiskorch. I think Centiskorch is spicy, but we know what Rotom does, right? And as a tier 5, Rotom is a lot of value here. Fast Fury Impulse, fast Will-O-Wisp, immune to Fake Out. We know what Scrafty does. We know what Tangrowth does. I guess the Dragalge could be spicy with adaptability. That could be fun. But we have a value Diggersby, a really high value Diggersby. We know Diggersby is good. We know Aromatisse is good. It's one of the most consistent Trick Room setters. We know what Crobat does. We know what Metagross does.
Okay, I might have to go to a dentist now, Theo. I might now that you're given this reasoning here. Once again, you know, the bias of power versus spice. It's hitting me. And it's definitely making me salivate.
Well, tell me how much. How much you salivating, right? What do you think of this team?
Yeah, I mean, how much? Like you've got Decorate from Alchemy. That can just go on to Diggersby, could go into Metagross. Aromatisse is fantastic support for either of those Pokemon too. You've got one of the fastest Tailwind users that cannot be faked out. Pretty hard to kill a Crobat too. Like usually it's got a electric resist berry, maybe even an ice resist berry, or even just Focus Sash. Scrafty, this is a mon that myself and Cortex went back and forth on. Tangrowth too. We know these are both great lower tier picks to be able to pick up and have on a team. Scrafty's typing is just really good for draft, and redirection from a Tangrowth. I mean, that's a bulky mon right there. Yes, its special defense isn't amazing, but you're not gonna have too many Pokemon in this format that have crazy special defensive stats, aka fire types, or even ice types for that matter, that are gonna come in and really do big damage. So Tangrowth is in a pretty good spot. I like the Clawritzer. Centiskorch is cool, but it's not the G-Max form. So it's only going to be doing so much as if you want to max that mon. Dragalge is pretty cool, although here's the thing, max a Dragalge and sure, you can use your dragon type moves to lower their attack, and I mean if you use the max ooze, Metagross nor Diggersby are really getting anything out of value out of being next to a Dragalge in TR. So really, I think you're all out just really focusing on Metagross and Diggersby as like your big damage dealers with really some great support mons. As you said, Rotom, I'm not as familiar with Rotom, so when you were telling me about like really fast Will-O-Wisp and Eerie Impulse, like I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was initially curious, like, why is Rotom a tier 5 and not like, I guess, tier 5 makes sense, but I don't know where I was going with that, but ignore me for a moment. At the end of the day, I also, what's really spicy? The fact that these 4 free slots were split up between lower tiers, right? Whereas we kind of see most other teams go for like a 75, maybe a 25, and a 0, or a lot of teams, myself included, opt for going all in on that 100 points, get another tier 1 mod, right? Because you just can do so much. But I mean, you look at this team and you go, well, you've got Metagross, you've got Diggersby. As long as you can keep away the burn, you're going to be good. You're going to be grand. So yeah, you're right. This is a really sweet team. A lot going for it. Especially on like the upper end. The lower end, you've got some good support. You've got Fake Out. I don't know what Clawitzer and Centiskorch are really going to do. That, I guess I am questioning a little bit there in terms of power, more so that I guess they're kind of spicy to just have.
Yeah, I think Clawitzer is okay. Clawitzer is a really good Pokemon. We've seen Dan use it really well past seasons in the VDL, and I think he used it one other time. And we've seen Goomer use it really well last season as well. Clawitzer is really good. I feel like it's proven itself. It is a spicy mon because it's not drafted all the time, but it does its job well. In a max format, it loses access to the boost from Mega Launcher when it's maxed, which kind of stinks, but it still hits super hard anyway without it. So the Centiskorch, I have Centiskorch in my team. I'm really excited to use it. I love all its abilities. I think that gives it a lot of versatility. This team, and then one thing you mentioned, Dragalge can be next to Metagross. Like, I could see potential sludge waves, like really easy Scarf sludge waves or Spec sludge waves going off next to Metagross. This is a really good team. I've told Bubble this team is kind of nutty. It's super sweet, but spice level, I gotta give it the jalapeno, man. There's too much value. It's all stuff we know works. I gotta give it a jalapeno. It's got a kick. Though. Yeah. Well.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm just having a little bit of trouble giving it a jalapeno. No.
Oh, that's right.
Former user of
personal
Metagross
experience.
in my first season of VBA, I know how good this thing is. And you've got so much support to back it up. And the whole team is like revolving around that and Diggersby. Like, I don't see really much else on this team being like, yo, I'm the powerhouse. Even though Tangrowth is raising its arm, being like, yo, what about me? I'm like, nah.
What are we feeling here?
Oh,
Poblano. Okay.
We're going.
All right.
We're going Poblano. We're going Poblano.
I wasn't hoping we would get there.
It's just so Metagross and Diggersby heavy, man. It's so heavy towards those two because they're so good. Diggersby has such great move utility and coverage. That's the thing about Diggersby that's
great
incredible.
Coverage.
Besides
next to Tailwind,
it gets great coverage.
This is a good team.
Yeah, and decorate.
I don't want to look at this team anymore. Sorry, Bubble. I can't look at this team anymore. Yeah. This isn't safe anymore. So
I'm indulging too much.
Our next team, the Miami Flare, and this is coached by Archery, who is new to the VBA. So welcome, Archery. This is their team. We got G-Max Cinderace, and we got a G-Max Corviknight. And I thought G-Max Corviknight as a tier 3 was huge value in a bulky Tailwind setter, and a really solid Steel type in general, and a way to I guess avoid stat drops with Mirror Armor, as well as not caring about attack drops with the access to Iron Defense, Body Press. So this is Corviknight was really good value on this in the tier list, and I'm glad to see it got picked up on this end as well in this division. We have an Appleton. I think Appleton can be spicy if you put a little too much cinnamon in the pie, right?
Yeah.
that's it. I think it's just Appleton.
Really?
I feel like
Morpiko's not sticking out to you more so?
Okay.
I'm gonna question the fact that you're
Okay,
about
so
to tell me that this Pokemon is proven in draft.
is really cool. I think
Morpeko.
it's a really cool Pokemon. It has access to Super Fang, has access to, or I think Aura Wheel is pretty neat. But
yeah,
I feel like Morpeko has a lot of tools. We've seen Wolfie use it, just trolling people on ladder as well. It's fast Snarl, it's fast Parting Shot, it's a tier 5. Huge value in tier 5, and we've seen it do work. We've seen Raz use it really well, and I believe he won his championship with a Morpeko in, I want to say UDL. I could be wrong, but that's why he's the Morency Morpeko. And I don't know, I feel like Morpeko's proven its worth in other leagues already. Maybe not the VBA. I don't know if it's been drafted in the VBA yet, but now it has, and I'm pretty excited to use it, but I'm more excited to see the Appleton do work.
Yeah, Appleton, Gluttony, Thick Fat, Ripen. I mean, Gluttony being one of my favorites there. Thick Fat not being a bad ability too, to be able to resist
Ice,
4 times a week. Ice move coming in, right? That's pretty cool actually, to be able to take away a big time weakness right there, when I feel like a lot of teams can carry an ice move somewhere, so that's pretty cool. I think a Selgor is a pretty cool Pokemon too. In a max format, Last
Final
Resort
Gambit
is right. That's the move I'm thinking of. Last Resort, Final Gambit. Thank you. Final Gambit's not as good, but it's definitely not something.
I was just thinking that too. I was just looking it over. There's no terrain setter.
There's no terrain. I don't know how you proc Unburden on a Selgor, unless you gave it something like, I don't know, like Adrenaline Orb if you're going up against a Intimidate user or something like that. So I don't know. I mean, there could be other creative ways. No, I like Mantine. I think that's pretty spicy. It's like a low tier Tailwinder. It's tier 4. Swift Swim, Water Absorb, Water Veil. Like, it has good abilities. Now you're 4 times weak to electric moves, but you've also got Corviknight Gmax as your another low tier Tailwind user. But me and Cortex also talked about how if we were going to pick up Corviknight, it was going to be as the Gmax form. Really great pickup instead of going for the tier 2. To go for the tier 3 Gmax.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. As for Spice, I mean, there's a lot of proven stuff here, right? Grimmsnarl Cinderace is a fantastic combination. Coaching me and Xiao, Fake Out, is fast in general. Inner Focus can't be faked out itself. Really cool. Togetic with Eviolite with Follow Me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yep, definitely.
I think it gets Follow Me, right? Yeah, sure. So with that, like, that's really cool too. And then obviously you've got Reuniclus, which is a super bulky TR setter that will definitely allow Idon, Appleton, heck, even Grimmsnarl and Corviknight. Like, Grimmsnarl does not have to be used as a prankster support mon. It's got great move coverage. It's 120 base attack. In VGC, it simply doesn't get the action that it gets because Incineroar is so popular that it's just, it's not viable for you to use Grim as that offensive Pokemon that it can be. So you've got quite a few great TR mons here and really fantastic ways to set it up with one of the fastest fake out users in the game for this format. Yeah, you're looking pretty good. It's looking sweeter.
Yeah, at first glance, right?
Sweeter than I would have
and
thought.
I made a mistake earlier. Dragapult is not the fastest Pokemon in the format. We're looking at it. It's a Selgor. So Selgor, it might not have a clear way or a clear easy way to proc an item to access Unburden at turn 0 or turn 1. But it might not even need it. It's the fastest thing in the format.
It's true.
So Yeah, and it gets access to. I
That's
believe it
also
gets
true.
access to String Shot, does it not? I could be wrong.
I wouldn't be surprised. It
No,
does
it doesn't
it
get
gets
String
acid
Shot.
spray too,
Oh,
which
it's
is
too
pretty
bad.
cool.
I guess it gets Bulldoze. Does it not? No, it gets. It doesn't get any speed control, does it? Am I going crazy?
Not sure.
Yeah, I was wondering if it had any moves to lower the
own.
speed of their opponent. Because Struggle Bug is really cool.
It has
Yeah,
Struggle Bug.
a 100%
That's cool.
accurate Snarl, essentially. Oh, you know what it has? It has Encore, and it has Fast Yawn.
Oh,
yeah, Selgor spicy.
That's spicy. I'm sorry. Well, it's that's spicy. I'm not gonna take.
But
that's good.
It's a lot of tried and true.
Like that.
Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention: Togetic, Togetic is going to be traded out for Marowak going into week 2. So I don't agree with that trade. I don't think. Because
I mean, there aren't too many viable electric types, right? I don't know if you really need that lightning rod. Like it's
regular Kanto Marowak.
Regular Marowak, correct? Kanto Marowak. Okay, so he gets that ground typing, but you already have lightning. Wait, you've already got lightning rod Rhydon, and that with Eviolite has got to be somewhat respectable. I mean, looking at this, you get a base 180. You get a 180 defense, and then you get like I don't know, like 65 something special defense. So it's not a.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's planning on switching out the Rhydon
terrible.
soon, since it does seem like a kind of waste of a slot with similar roles. And you lose redirection. You lose follow me redirection.
I mean, it's not Rhyperior.
So, yeah. I would give this. I like a Selgor and I like Appleton. I would probably give this I'd give this a jalapeno. I'm gonna give it a jalapeno. Yeah, just a
the
little
words
kick
right
to
out of
it.
my
Just got a little
mouth.
kick
Yeah,
to
this
it.
is a jalapeno. I want this last team
let's find out. So our last team, we have the Welva Weezings, and this is a spicy team. First glance, this is a really cool team. We have Durant. We have tier 1 Durant. We know Durant does work from ladder back in the earlier seasons, similar to this format where without most of the legendaries. Durant does work with Hustle, Life Orb, and Max. And we haven't really, I personally have not seen Durant do super well in draft. I don't see it drafted that often. So I'm excited. This is one of our first spicy tier 1s in my opinion for a draft. And I'm really excited for this Durant. We have also Sigilyph, which I think is really spicy. Sigilyph access to both Trick Room and Tailwind, as well as some really cool abilities. Wonderskin, making opposing status moves 50% accurate. The access to Magic Guard if you want to go an offensive Life Orb route. And then you have Tinted Lens. What's Tinted Lens? Is that... I think it makes everything that's not very effective is neutral. It doubles the damage output of not very effective moves. So everything's going to be neutral. So that's a cool ability in itself. That's a spicy ability in itself. Access to really cool status moves. I mentioned Tailwind, Trick Room already. But it also gets access to, I believe, Gravity. It gets access to Hypnosis as well. I have a feeling Gravity Hypnosis might come into play at some point during the season. I like this team a lot. How do you like it?
So it's got some really great picks. Double up on Drakezolt and Durant. Double Mons that want to max and hustle. That's a little too much for me. I think that's a little bit too much of a double up. I think you go for either one. And in my opinion, I don't think you draft Durant. I think you draft the Dracozolt as your tier 1 hustle user, and you find another tier 1 that's going to do you just as. The reason why Durant struggles so much in draft formats, and Cortex and I talked about this at great lengths, we saw Durant do well in early seasons of VGC, purely because the tiering at the time and the Pokemon available to it really meant and favored Durant being able to kind of do its thing. Now, Durant actually is a pretty fast Pokemon, 109 base speed, and so because of that, being one of the faster Pokemon in the format can take advantage of that and really do some huge damage with Hustle Steel moves. I think that's the one thing about it, is that you really underestimate the power of Hustle Durant with a Max Steel Spike. Those Max Steel Spikes really freaking hurt. Not to mention that it also gets some really great coverage as well. In its entirety. There we go. So it's a great mon, but you know what? It's 4 times weak to fire, and so that's why most people will be carrying a fire type move on their team, because they want to use it on Durant. Problem is, if you've got redirection, which guess what they do with Tangela, and if you have speed control, which guess what? They have Aerodactyl, they've got Sigilyph, they've got Chandelure, right? And even Executor Alola. They've got multiple Pokemon for multiple forms of speed control in order to secure their Pokemon to attack first. That's the thing about this team that's really cool to me, because not only do you have like faster mons that do big damage, you've even got the Crawdaddy himself, Crawdon. Adaptability Crawdon is one Pokemon that, it wasn't sniped from me, but I definitely really wanted it, because it's just not a mon that you see in VGC ever, because there are just better Pokemon that do better than Crawdon. But man, Water Dark type with adaptability, Crab Hammer, and some of those other powerful stab moves, they just do so well. Hitmonchan is a low tier fake out
tried
user.
And true.
It's tried and true. Really cool. I love the Alolan Executor though. That's really great. I also like the Tentacruel. Water poison and Tentacruel, if I'm not mistaken, it's got okay, it's actually matching defenses, base 80 for both. And so, or I'm sorry, not base 80, base 120 and base 65. I was looking at Sigilyph. It's really special defensively bulky. So an earthquake or a physical ground move, and you're not going to be loving yourself, but it doesn't mean that you're out for the count. But I think you're really right. Sigilyph is a Pokemon that I've always loved. Really spicy choice, especially paired with Durant. Durant being in tier 1 and Durant just being Durant compared to, you could have picked up a Gmax
I don't think so, yeah.
right? I don't think I saw that at all with any of these other teams. No, you could pick up a Gmax Charizard here, right? Sunny Day is definitely on some of these Pokemon somewhere, and you could be feeling the power of residual damage from Charizard over Durant. But no, you're going all in on the Durant pick here, especially with another hustle user as well. So while I go competitively and for power, I don't love having Dracozolt and Durant, but in terms of spice, double hustle mons, you're hustling. You're hustling in this in any set in terms of trying to do big damage.
Yeah, it's a fairly spicy. Like, this is the first tier 1 where I'm excited to. This is the first spicy tier 1 for me in all of the teams so far, and that in itself that gives it huge ups in the spice ranking for me. And then Sigilyph is. I've talked to Curry about this. Like, Sigilyph, I've always wanted to draft, but I'm too scared to draft. Because it's just it feels like it'd be such a fun Pokemon to use, but then you just find so many flaws with it, and having a rock and ice weakness is really tough because it's so common, and it's if you have 2 rock or ice weaknesses on the team already, I'm not going to be inclined to add a Sigilyph onto it as well. And you see that on this team too. It's weak to rock and ice.
Agreed.
And the Sigilyph doesn't help that. So that's usually why I don't draft it. But the fact that they drafted it, that's huge spice levels right there. I think Alolan Executor is really spicy. I have it on my team. I'm really excited to use it. hits like a truck.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I can get Trick Room up with it at some point. Times for weakness to ice is tough. Times for weakness to ice is tough. It's everywhere. Yachi Berry, yeah.
Ice is tough. Yachi Berry,
this,
baby. Best
I'm
friend.
gonna give this one. I'm gonna give it a. I'm gonna give it. What's higher than a Scotch bonnet? Is it habanero? Is habanero? No.
Habanero.
Oh really? This is my habanero of the night.
habanero.
This is the habanero. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
for
my
sure.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh jeez. Oh man. Okay. Wow. Not expecting you to go there. You know, if I took a bite into a bowl of all these mons, I wouldn't go habanero. But
Ty, that's pretty high for your scale, man. That's pretty high for your scale. Yeah.
High pepper right there. It is pretty high. I really do respect the fact that you have Durant. And honestly, I think you're gonna do well because no one else is threatening with Gmax Charizard, which I think is one of your greatest counters. So congratulations, your greatest counter to Durant is not even in the playbook right now for anybody.
Yeah.
So it kind of works out. Yeah, I mean it's cool. And you know what? Also make mention of Steelix, like for a tier 5 fully evolved base 200 defense. The amount of people that told me in Kanto F you because they wanted Steelix.
Yeah,
I got
for sure.
Get it. It's
all
good.
right. That concludes the Spice rankings for the Johto division. We have our 12 teams. I hope everyone has a great season. May the RNG gods be kind to you throughout the season. It's going to be a real competitive season, which we love to see. And thank you, Ryan, for joining me here. If you guys liked the video and want more official VBA content, drop us a like, drop us a comment, and we'll get more out for sure. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, everyone.
Sure.